Hi, Maria. Well, I see we got some people in the room here, so I will go ahead and take down this screen and say hello, hi, welcome to Wake and Aware. Thanks for joining me. It's almost 11:11. We'll get started here right at 11:11. We have just a minute here. So as we did it, if you're just joining us and didn't make the previous show at 11:11, we're going to take a moment for mindfulness because this is a quantum time. It's 11:11. But it's also, the date is 11/11 in 2020. So that's 444. So, hi guys. Thanks for joining. It's now 11:10. Start this little countdown clock. And at 11:11, we'll just take a moment for mindfulness. What we'll do is reach for a perfect feeling thought. And a perfect feeling thought is somewhere that you could be, or with someone that you could be, or something that makes you feel good. Could be on a ski boat, could be in a jungle, could be with your favorite person, could be somebody from the future or the past. But you have no limitations. You have all the resources you need, all the time that you need. You can be anywhere you want with anybody that you want in any type of situation. And if that makes you feel good, bask in it. Send that out to the universe. So what we'll do is just take a moment, look for your perfect feeling thought. And then we'll take a minute into 11. Also, I want to remind everybody that today is Veterans Day. So I want to thank all the veterans. Thank you guys for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you very much for what you've done for our country and keeping us safe. It is now 11:11, so let's take a moment. Welcome to Awake and Aware. Reach for your perfect feeling thought, your PUFT, your PFT. Yes. I don't know if you guys felt that, but I certainly felt it. We still got a minute, so just sit into your minute and enjoy your perfect feeling thought. Watch how it makes you feel. This has the ability to cleanse your frequency, and we're sending this out to the universe together as a mass. It's pretty amazing. We're elevating each other's frequency. What a wonderful time to be alive. I know that it's 2020, but guess what? It's like the meme that I saw, somebody that ever since that guy drank the cranberry juice on the skateboard, listening to Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks, man, life's just been getting kind of seeming to come back uphill a little bit. And then there's hope on the horizon. So I'm grateful for that guy and his energy that he shared out to the universe. I've got some cranberry juice here and a little bit of tea. I am drinking a hibiscus rose, no caffeine tea. And let's just see what the tea tag says. It says, every beat of your heart is a rhythm of your soul. I dig it, for sure. So we're in for a treat this evening. I've got a special guest that's going to come on and call into the show. And so you can see she's a life and wellness coach. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of her wisdom with you guys and her experience. We really touched some people earlier today, and I want to say that I'm not surprised, but no, I really was surprised on how many people enjoyed the mission of Awake and Aware and can relate to it. So it's a wonderful time to be here, and this is a community. This is not... If you're new to this, we are talking about ways to keep your energy up throughout the day. And when I say your energy up, I mean like high frequency, high vibrations, good vibrations. I usually say good energy, high frequency, and wavy vibes. And nice. See, I see that people here are feeling the perfect feeling thought. It's so I came up with that about a year ago, and I've been using it ever since. And I intend to write a book on it. But I have found that it is profound. It is something that to be able to take, plus, to be able to take a minute and allow yourself to reach where you normally wouldn't go in your normal day has the ability to affect you greatly, because you start to, it's now your peak, and you want to keep going back to your peak. So you'll do things to elevate yourself to get to want to feel that good every day, all the time. And there's no reason we can't. We just need a little bit of nudge to know that's possible and that exists. So if you can feel like that in this moment, and thinking, I hope that some of you are like, you know what, I'm perfectly content with exactly where I'm at. Because I got to tell you, my perfect feeling thought was being right here with you guys. It really was. And I know that sounds hokey, but it's the God's honest truth, is just to be able to share with you guys some of the things that have touched me and made my life better. And then also to listen to you guys to share the same things with me, because I've everything that I have in life that's good is because somebody else has shared it with me. And so I'm grateful that you guys are here. So I want to take a minute here and just acknowledge that somebody wrote in to us earlier from the earlier show. I'm just going to put this up. It was a text message that I received after the show. And normally I don't read stuff that you guys can read, but it's kind of long. So I'm just going to read. It's not long. It's kind of small writing. So I'll go ahead and read it. It says, first and foremost, I want to thank you for all the positive things you talked about today. You are such a positive, encouraging man that people need in their lives. I wish I have heard these things when I was younger, so I would know how to cope with the things I went through in life. But you are someone who can help a lot of people just by your videos and encouraging words spoken. I'm so glad I was able to hop on today and see your live, because I have been feeling very down, discouraged, sad, mad, and depressed. Everything. The more I listened, the more I felt better. So I was so tuned in like never before, and I just want to thank you for doing what you do. Love helping people is what I do best, but when I'm not feeling or at my best, then I can't help those around me. I have to be selfish right now and help myself first. I just had to reach out and let you know that I appreciate what you do and can't wait for more to come. So, wow. Yeah, I was super touched by that. The show is a connection with other people, so she's thanking you guys just as much as me. And if anybody can be touched by this like that, or have the anticipation for what's coming, I'm grateful. I know that I'm doing the right thing, and that fulfills me and keeps me doing this and knowing that I'm in the right place. You mentioned something about being selfish. I don't think of it as being selfish. It's self-care. And I think of an analogy. Some of you have probably heard this, but it's when you're on an airplane and you have a child with you and something goes wrong and the face mask comes down. They tell you if that face mask comes down that you put yours on first. The parental instinct is to take it and put it on your child first, to want to take care of your child first. But the thing is if you do that, you might pass out before you actually get it on your child's face. So you have to put it on first, make sure you have oxygen, and then put your child's on. You are capable of dealing with or helping other people when you have helped yourself. It reminds me of a saying that my uncle says that has, he says, the best thing you can do for me is to take care of yourself. And I've always loved that. So what's up, Damien? I'm glad you're here, brother. See, we got a few people in here, and I'm super grateful that you guys have joined us this late. This is a little bit later than most shows come on. Some people are night owls, but I know some people were at work today and weren't able to catch the show. So we're going to do some different things here. We're not going to stay on as long as we did. But later on in the show, we're going to have a chance to take another live caller while Beth is on the phone with us, and that person will be able to win, you see it, another Awake and Aware t-shirt. These are exclusive t-shirts, and these are limited editions. So the ones that will be available in our store won't look like this or the same materials. These are our organic materials, and these are quite special. And they even have a little something in the tag that's a little bit different than all the others. So if you get a chance, when I put that number up, you know, I'm playing with you guys to get you guys to dial in quickly. But if you're the first caller, since it's 111111, I think if you're the first caller, you'll be the winner. So I'm gonna wait here for Beth Ann to call in. That's her cue to give a call in, so she should be here any second, and we'll bring her into the show, and then we'll kind of get started. So I'm super glad that you guys are here. Also, I want to throw out that if you guys have, haha, that's so funny. Damien's in a different time zone, so it's 10:11 there. Well, that's pretty interesting, man. Somebody had mentioned that 1, 2, 3, 4 was a number they kept seeing, and I told them that that's the gate 2, because 1 is the entire universe, 2 is it was a religious thing with Pythagoras. It's called a triptych, where the numbers all line up to the number 10 anyway, which is just the number 1, man. It's all a gate, and that's kind of the idea. Oh, there we go. Here is Beth. Let's bring her into the call. Beth, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Hello. Let's turn your microphone up.
Can you
Hi.
hear me okay?
Oh, we can hear you just fine. So thank you for
Wonderful.
joining us. My friends, this is Beth Ann, a life and wellness coach here in the same area that I am in. And we have been friends now for a few months. And I'm impressed with everything she's doing in life to help other people, and has made the transition in her life to make that her life's profession. And I think if a lot of people have heard me say, if you're doing what you love, then you're not working at all.
That is so true.
So welcome
That is
to
so
Awake and
true.
Aware. Would you just take a second and maybe if you want to just tell us what being a life and wellness coach means to you?
Sure. I have really felt this calling for really my whole life, but really strongly in the past few years that I'm meant for more. You know, I'm meant to really impact people's lives, or just help them see through whatever darkness that they may be fighting through. Um, and it's really been, they say that, when you're helping someone else, you're also helping yourself. I can absolutely say that that's true, because I benefit personally from every client interaction that I have. It's just a beautiful relationship. It's a beautiful experience. Um, just to have that, just to share my light with them, because they're also sharing their energy with me, and it's just beautiful. So um, it's the best thing you can do is to help others, because it does help the whole, because we are all one essentially. So yeah,
Starting to sense a
it's
theme
been
going on today. The ones, as you say that, it's 11:22, or where Damien is, it's 10:22.
beautiful.
Very much
Yeah,
so. So I'm going to take some time and ask you some questions, kind of off the cuff here. And listen, guys, this is a community thing, so we can see we can see the questions live as they come in. So if you have any questions for me, and have any questions for Beth, and or if you have any topics that you think that you might like anybody to touch on, or just concerns them about how to get through your day, being energetic. And again, when I say energetic, I don't necessarily just mean caffeinated. we mean
right.
carrying through the day with optimism, basically a thriving state where it doesn't matter what's coming at you, you're able to do the next best thing for yourself. Hey, Megan, glad you're able to join us. So one of the things is Beth is, I think you're also a healer. Am I correct?
That's right. Yes.
So you do long distance healing. Is that Would I
Yes,
understand
I
correctly?
am a Holy Fire 3 Reiki practitioner. So I can do long distance healing for people who are suffering from ailments, but also people who just need an energy lift, some energy healing. There's a lot going on right now. People are very stressed, and you know, it's a beautiful way. I, it's sort of like meditation on steroids. You know, it's just a beautiful way to heal your energy. So yes, that's accurate. I am also an energy healer.
Nice, very nice. I was thinking about before I started the show. I was thinking about Tesla's words about viewing the universe, and if you want to understand the universe, you view it in the forms of energy, frequency, and vibration, and that's everything can be broken down to those three simple things: is either energy in a state of flux, movement, and how rapidly it is moving, or how often that it moves, and those are the basics, building blocks of all that we know, whether it be thought, whether it be our physicality, or the things in the light and the sound that are around us, even the void, um, are affected by energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you're able to heal somebody long distance, wow, what an amazing thing! As we exist in this digital world, plus in this non-touch world that's going on with COVID, what a wonderful benefit have you had been able to uh, find that this is a wonderful, an even more wonderful gift because of that. Where we're doing the no touch stuff recently.
Well, I mean, it has been helpful. I mean, I can also, you know, I don't want to say that it's a blessing that we can't be in contact,
Mm.
but it has been helping people. It has been a comfort to people. So it's, you know, because they can still feel that it's not human touch that they feel. It's not like they can feel my hands, but they do feel the energy, which is the really what we're doing when we're touching someone physically. We're transferring energy. You were talking earlier about hugs and how important hugs are. Well, it's because of that transfer of energy that it's a communication with your energies are communicating. And that can happen long distance too. There's no reason why it can't. And that's, really what I do. I just channel that energy.
Yes. It took me years to come to the understanding that what goes on in our mind is it may not be real. I was used to my parents telling me, "Oh, that's not real. That's just your imagination." But our thoughts have a real effects to our physical body and our experience in this life, and that's through changing our frequency and our vibration with just our thoughts and our intentions. I've experienced intention healing and light healing from distance myself, and have had some attunements in my life, and I have been blessed to be a rather healthy person and rapidly heal any of the ailments that have ever come my way through mindfulness and intention. I am not suggesting that anybody does not seek medical attention if necessary. I have doctors galore in my life, and I still go to hospitals if necessary. But I start here first.
Absolutely. And they go hand in hand, because, sometimes you let your energy, maybe you are ignoring something in your life, not realizing what a big deal it is. And you get some big ailment from it that absolutely needs the care of a doctor. However, pair that with some energy healing and you have a much faster recovery.
Mm, very much so. And I've found that most clinical doctors today in our Eastern medicine agree with that as well. They are
Mm-hmm.
firm believers in it. But a lot of people think, oh, if I go to the hospital, they're going to think that I'm crazy or quacked out. Or that is absolutely not the case. They are very aware of the benefits of mind over matter, and even if you just want to call it the placebo effect, that's real and it works well too.
Right.
At a very least, or at a very small, I don't want to discredit what we're talking about by any means, but the placebo effect is also real too, and it does have a benefit in people's healings.
Yeah, because what you believe is what what you bring to yourself. So if you believe that it's healing you, whatever it is that you're using, if you really believe in it, like if it's a sugar pill and you really believe you have the real medicine, your body will heal itself because you believe that. Um, your mind really has some significant power.
Absolutely. That makes me think is so if we're in the belief of energy healing and we're in the belief of healing through belief, then it would seem, is it possible to take a slippery slope and just kind of slide over and say that through our own beliefs, we're also able to affect our own energy levels and our own energy state and how we carry out through the day just with our own belief system?
Oh, I absolutely believe that. Yes.
For sure.
I mean,
So,
I
so do
think
I.
so. You can surely do that with your how you believe. If you really, and it's that self-talk. How are you talking to yourself? What are you saying? Are you saying I'm tired? Are you saying I don't feel well? I have a headache? Those things are, you're poisoning your body with those thoughts. You can change that. You know, Early on in my, discovery of all of this, I started experimenting. So I would get a headache, and what I would normally do is complain about my headache. But instead, I was, I just said, I feel great. I feel fantastic. I feel light. I feel healthy. I feel strong, and instantaneous, my headache went away. And that's when I really realized, wow, we have so much more power than we
Mm.
realize.
So to anybody that's joining us, because we get people from all different walks of life with different belief systems. I just want to back up some of the things we're talking about. There is scientific research that 100% backs this up. There's a book called The Field by a woman named Lynn McTaggart, who is it's a resource of studies that have actually proven the benefits of mind over matter and how intention changes in the light inside of our body. It's it's a wonderful book, but it absolutely backs up everything that we're talking about: the placebo effect, the mind over matter, the light inside of our bodies, the electrons moving in and out of our bodies, which I had mentioned earlier, as an energy which changes as we focus on it. And this is quantum chemistry. This is quantum mechanics. This is just physics as we understand science today. And it's wonderful that we live in a time when metaphysics and true physics are not true physics, but modern day physics are in agreement, and nobody is saying, no, you guys are just witches, or, that's just tomfoolery, and here, take the snake oil and feel better. So I think that's a wonderful thing. One of the things when you and I first met that we connected over was maybe it was a book, but it was a lady named Esther Hicks, who can be found out on the internet, and she's written a bunch of books. And one of the books that she wrote is called "Ask and It Is Given." And we talked about something. It's an insert that is in the book "Ask and It's Given," and it is called an emotional guidance scale. And
That's right.
right? Are you familiar with? I'm going to bring it up here so people can see it. Covered up your face here. Let's see if I can. There we go. We can split it. So this isn't. I want to talk about this for just a second, because I think some people in the room who were here earlier could absolutely share in using the emotional guidance scale to affect their energy throughout the day. And are you familiar with this, Beth? Can you tell us how it works?
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. So at any point in your day, you start to feel, and actually what I suggest to people is throughout the day, stop yourself wherever you are. And even if you have to put a timer in the beginning, I actually do, to ask people to set a timer for, every hour on their phone, so that they're reminded to check in with themselves and say, how am I feeling right now? What is it that I'm feeling? Because you may find that in that moment, you're actually worried. And maybe you weren't even thinking about how worried you are, but like, wow, I really feel worried. Is this, or I really feel discouraged or angry, or or just disappointed or overwhelmed, and whatever that feeling is, if it's not something that is, higher on the vibrational scale, like joy or enthusiasm, optimism, any of those would be much higher than the lower vibe feelings, you can absolutely move your way up. And the more you do that, the more, clearly, the more beneficial your day is going to be. You're going to be more productive. You're going to have an overwhelming just sense of good well-being. So, yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing.
Mm, very much so. Um, so if we look at the top of this, there's the way this is a little bit different than I originally saw. I wasn't able to find the exact copy that I had found in the book, and this one has a few more things I think added on the number one. When I saw this originally, it was joy, love, and happiness. Or excuse me, no, it was just there may have been two other things. I may be wrong. Maybe this was in the original book. But that state of joy, that's what's so important, because when we're in a state of joy, we are already emanating the things that are beneath it, like passion, enthusiasm, eagerness, happiness, positive expectation, belief, optimism, hopefulness, contentment. All of those things are already being eluded at the same time that we're in a state of joy. And that's one of the reasons why it's so powerful. And we tend to, through research, happier people tend to live healthier, longer lives, and have more friends, which in turn means that they have lower cortisol and lower stress in their life, which means they have better jobs in their life. They're able to function better. It just leads from one thing to another to another. See here where Jazzy had said, instead of saying I'm sick as a dog, I'm saying I'm getting better and better minute by minute. Man, that's a powerful statement. Yeah, mantras.
Absolutely.
I think mantras are a powerful thing in healing, especially affecting our own belief, because we believe what we say, our subconscious. If you take the time to speak something, that means you wanted, it was in your mind, but you took action on it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And if you think about how many things we don't take, how many of us have ever thought about beating somebody up but didn't do it? Probably every time somebody blows the horn behind you or you get cut off in traffic, you probably have that thought. But what's interesting is you don't act on it. If we could kind of treat ourselves like that, so when we have negative thoughts or self-deprecating thoughts, we could take the time to not give it energy, not speak it into existence. Because not only we, whether or not you believe in speaking things and manifesting into existence, but at the very least, you are not programming into your own psyche the failure or the self-deprecation by talking bad about yourself. Hi, Brian. Welcome to the show. So if let's just take an example here. If somebody had mentioned some of the state that they were feeling earlier, that they were in a state of discouragement, they were in a state of doubt and disappointment and pessimism. Could you take her, if she was in those states, could you give her like really some examples of how she could get like a path that she could get to joy or experiencing joy in her daily routine?
I mean, definitely. Well, if you're starting out that low on the scale, I would not suggest trying to jump to joy, because it's going to be convoluted. It's going to be tainted with, all of the things before it. But if you gradually work your way up, so she's feeling overwhelmed or discouraged, thinking of things in her life. First of all, I would have her do some meditation and some breathing, and just to quiet her mind. Because if you're that far down the scale, you may need to just wipe that slate clean, and then start thinking of things that make you happy, things that you love, things that do bring you joy, even if it's as simple something that you're grateful for, even if it's just, wow, the weather is beautiful today, and find that thing. It could be silly, it could be anything. Oh, I love my sweatpants. whatever it is for you, it's going to be personal to you. And sit with that thought, just that one simple thought that makes you feel good. Let that make you feel a little better. And of course, every situation is different. If you just lost a loved one, it's not going to be easy to, be happy over your sweatpants. I get that. Every situation is unique, but there's always a way to work your way up. There's always a way.
Mm. I like one of the ways that Esther puts it a little bit when she's in her state. So those who don't know who Esther Hicks is a woman who's written many books, and she's a channeler who channels a conscious entity named Abraham, who is a male, or well, it's not really a male. It doesn't matter, but it seems to have a male persona that channels through her and speaks to us. And Abraham is source energy, which is a culmination of all the energy that is as a conscious being, and it channels and talks through her, and she just has some wonderful knowledge about how to keep your energy up throughout the day and how to have high frequency, high vibration, and good vibes. And one of the things that she says is really got to take this one step at a time. Now, I feel like when you have, Jazzy says magic, absolutely. There are shortcuts, but the funny thing is that the shortcuts don't come easy and short. The shortcuts are repetition and practice. That's what allows you to be able to jump from one of these lower end frequency feelings to a higher frequency, only because you have worn a well path of changing from recognizing that, man, I'm in a state that I don't want to be in, and I want to go immediately back to the others. Once you start practicing it, you can get there, and that's the shortcut. But the shortcut is that you actually have to do the work to begin with and put this in repetition. So it's kind of a trick there. But if you're in a state of disappointment, and the beauty is if you sit in disappointment and look around and say, man, am I overwhelmed? You may not be overwhelmed at the same time. So you can kind of skip that. And that's the beauty of having this little cheat sheet here. If anybody needs a picture of this or a link to this, just inbox me and I'll make sure that you have it. Because it's a wonderful tool. And basically it's just reaching for the next highest frequency feeling. It's easy to get to versus, if you're in a state of blame where somebody has maybe wronged you and you want to forgive that person, it's kind of hard to do while you're still in the resentment state. And then if you're worried about how that's going to affect you, maybe somebody stole your rent. How are you going to feel joy if maybe a friend came in your home and stole your part? Lord forbid that would happen to anybody. But I have heard of it happening to people where somebody came into somebody's house and stole rent money out of their purse or something like that. How would you get back to a state of joy knowing that in a fear state? And I've seen people do it. And one of the things is having faith and getting back to that optimism state. Recognizing that things can change and go your way. So if you know the shortcut, knowing that, you can go straight back to faith, which then brings you to optimism. That's because I've done this a bunch of times. But before I could get there, I really had to go all the way from that low state of blame to worrying about my rent, what I was going to do, being disappointed that my friend would hurt me. And I literally just go through them and just, overwhelmment. That's a new word for me. Feeling overwhelmed. I had to look at that a few times. And feeling overwhelmed, and then recognizing the irritation that came with that. And then, and what's funny is once you start doing these, they build momentum. If you go from one to the next one, you have momentum. They just get easier and easier. And then all of a sudden, sometimes exactly. You don't have to go through each one. Exactly.
It's a muscle, just like anything else. When you were first learning to walk, you fell a few times, but then when you got the hang of it, you're not falling so often now. So yeah, absolutely. There's actually, there's a 3-step process really that I use on a regular basis for myself. if I find that I feel like I'm not in alignment, like meaning that I don't feel my best, like I don't feel how I want to feel. I have a goal of how I want to feel in a day. It's actually part of my morning routine. And if I feel like I'm not in alignment with that, I stop myself and I say, okay, what is it that I'm feeling right now? And I forgive myself for feeling
Mm.
that way. And oh, it's okay. It's valid. Thank you for the feeling, because that feeling was a trigger to tell me that there's something that I need to look at. Because if I didn't have the feeling, whatever that negativity is, I wouldn't be able to grow. So I take that and I thank the negative thought, or I thank the negative feeling, and for showing me what I need to do, and forgive myself. And then I just decide, okay, what is the best feeling thought that I can find right now? Whatever that is, what is the best feeling thought that I can find? And it moves me up that scale. It moves me up that scale. So, now when I do it, in the beginning, of course, just like you were saying, you have to move slowly. But now when I do it, I can almost jump right up to joy, because I know everything is working out for me. And, you know, there's one saying that Esther says a lot. It's, nothing serious is going on here. And, it doesn't matter what's happening, because I know ultimately that everything's going to be okay. So I'm able to find that. And it's a muscle that you just have to keep on working, and it becomes easier and easier.
When that's a wonderful tool that Beth just mentioned there in her morning routine. One of the things that she said that was really profound to me and stood out was that she forgives herself. And that makes me think of an analogy about a lion who, when they're out for the hunt and hunting for food, if they miss um, a gazelle, and they expend all their energy. Generally, lions have to eat every 3 days, or they don't have enough energy to hunt anymore, and they will likely die in the wild if they don't catch food. But what's funny is they are not like humans in the sense that if they miss a lion or miss a gazelle, they don't just lay down and cover themselves in a blanket and eat Haagen-Dazs and watch Netflix. They've got to forgive themselves for making the mistake and get right back up and just get right out there back on their game and doing exactly what it is that they are so good at doing and catching food. And if they didn't, they wouldn't be the king of the jungle, because they've got about a 3-day food supply and energy to hunt. So it just reminds me the power of forgiving ourselves and moving on to the next thing, rather than staying stuck in our low energy state.
Mm.
Megan says it's hard to forgive yourself sometimes.
Mm. That can be something that we unpack, because yes, it can be hard, um, but it's usually stemming from something deeper, like a sense of unworthiness, maybe, or maybe that self-love isn't where it needs to be.
Right.
Yeah, that's something that you would want to unpack, because if you're having a hard time forgiving yourself, are you having a harder time forgiving yourself than you have forgiving others? If somebody were to do what you did, whatever that is, could you forgive them? You know what? When I have clients, this is actually very common, um, especially in the beginning with a new client, is that feeling of unworthiness, or they're mad at themselves for whatever, or they're mad at, you know, maybe they had some sort of trauma, and they're not sure how to cope with it or how to move on. Um, and one of the techniques that I help them use is think of yourself as whatever that age is as a child that you feel like you were innocent. Maybe it's a 2-year-old, maybe it's a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old or however you can picture yourself in your mind. And you take that vision of your 4-year-old self or whatever age. I like to use a 4-year-old because they're just so cute. And so I think of myself as a 4-year-old, and I ask my client to think of themselves as that 4-year-old. And that 4-year-old just made a mistake, or something happened to that 4-year-old, and it wasn't their fault, or whatever it is. The 4-year-old is innocent because they're just learning, right? They're just learning how to do things and just learning how to communicate, and they're just learning all of these things. So you can forgive them, right? And that is you. That is still you. And forgiving that 4-year-old and comforting that 4-year-old in your mind and your imagination, just scoop up that 4-year-old self and snuggle that 4-year-old and tell him or her that you love her, or, tell her that you love her, and sit with that. And it's been a very powerful tool. It's a very powerful technique. And I do suggest anybody who's having trouble forgiving themselves for whatever it is, use that technique. Think of yourself, because that child is still in you. And, maybe she needs attention.
Wow. What a wonderful mnemonic to use, addressing your child self and how easy it is to forgive that, rather than forgive ourselves, and to recognize that we are still at that state. We are actually still our child selves. I mean, if you were to ask yourself, who are you? A lot of people would say, well, this is my name, this is my birthday, and this is where I work. And then if I could ask them anything more than that, it's all, if you realize those are just proximities to something else. They really have nothing to do with you. Somebody else gave you your name. Your where you were born is just proximity to something else, and the time that you're born is proximity to a planet somewhere. So who you are in yourself is all the states that you are from the beginning of time. The zygote in the womb, the 4-year-old child, your 12-year-old self, your person sitting on the park bench lonely because nobody came and played with you. That was me. That's my inner child. And then, growing up as an adult, as maybe if you're a parent, all the different roles that we play in life, each one of those, it has an effect on our frequency as we hold on to it until we go back in and do some work in some of the areas that are still pressing upon us. And especially for me, I had to do a lot of work with my child self. But Beth gave a really good example of how to simply get into that and be able to open up to a new way to forgive yourself. That was very insightful, Beth. And Megan there said, thank you for that. So Tish here says she has difficulty acknowledging feelings such as sadness or anger. Makes it harder to let it go if she doesn't recognize the feeling. Tish, sadness and anger are generally, sometimes those feelings are generally focused on something outward bound. And sadness is generally something that we feel remorse for, or something that's happened in the past. And it's generally not something that's currently happening. We're usually holding on to some type of memory. Maybe it's a loss or regret over something. There's usually some underlying effect to sadness. And one of the things is, if we live with it for quite some time, we can absolutely become desensitized to it. I know that it took me nearly 12 years to cry over my father's death. I didn't cry at his funeral. But driving down the highway in 95 in the state of Florida, I thought I saw him in a car drive past me, and I just broke out in tears driving about 85 miles per hour, just bawling like a little girl. I had that the ugly cry, the snot bubbles, everything. It was so cathartic. But that's because I had repressed all that energy, and I never grieved for my father after he had passed away. So it took me a long time to do that. So one of the things that we can do to recognize that why we may not be acknowledging our sadness or anger is because we have repressed it, and we have just kind of put a callus over it and learn to live with it. And yes, that's absolutely affecting you in your energy state every day, all the time. And it is absolutely worth doing the work, and taking the time to get to the bottom of that so you can alleviate that from yourself. Because it's kind of like, imagine somebody was doing construction in your neighborhood, and you live 10 minutes from where you work at, but because of construction, it takes 45 minutes to get to work. It's very uncomfortable, would not feel good, and you'd be upset all day long as to why this is. But that's kind of exactly what you're doing when your body is carrying around what you're not acknowledging and what you're not healing or allowing to dissipate. There's many studies in Chinese medicine and Asian medicine that have to do with holding on to sadness and anger, and how it can turn into much worse things if we allow it to take root in our body system. And some practitioners, I have heard that you can even get some acupuncture and have some relief with this, which is an interesting thing. Is how can a physical thing affect an emotional state? Well, that's what this is, holistic healing. And holistic energy means that we can sometimes do spiritual work to alleviate physical pain, and sometimes we can do some physical work to alleviate emotional and spiritual pain as well. So we've got all kind of people are engaging wonderfully. Before we get into a whole bunch more questions, really, I want to ask Beth some more questions. She brought up a morning. She mentioned that she had a morning routine, and I'm a huge fan of routines, because they build that muscle memory, that spiritual memory. And I find in all the books that I've read of very high functioning people, wealthy people, athletes, people who are living a peaceful life on their terms, one of the common denominators that they find is that they have a very good morning routine. And it may change from day to day, but they do have a general plan or something. So if you have any tips or anything that you could share with from your routine, Beth, that
Sure.
might help people, we'd love to hear it.
Sure. Well, first of all, I always start my day off with meditation. And I get a lot of people telling me that they can't meditate. And I want to stop you there if you're thinking, because everybody tells you to meditate. And I'm sure a lot of you are rolling your eyes right now thinking, oh, another person telling me I need to meditate. But it's really not as hard as you might think it is. And an easy way, if you're like one of those people who thinks that they can't because their mind is racing, an easy way to start meditating, to make it part of your practice, even if it's just something as simple, even if it's just a couple minutes, is using this breathing technique where you actually are talking to yourself while you're breathing, and you can breathe in and you say, breathe in, I know that I am breathing in. And as you exhale, you say, breathe out, I know that I am breathing out. And you don't need to say it out loud, although you can. You can say it in your head. But this act of breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathe out, I know that I am breathing out. Just a little tip to get you started if you think that it's impossible, because it is possible. And it's super healing and super important to my day. I meditate every single morning. Sometimes I let it drag on a little too long, I think. But I at least get 15 to 20 minutes in. Normally, I do more like a half an hour, on occasion, sometimes longer. But just clearing my mind and setting the tone of the emotions that I want for the day. And then I sit up and I write in my journal every morning, and I script out my day. So I don't say everything that I'm going to do, although I have heard that some people, as they script their days, they do. that. But what I do is more of a overall, this is what I want the tone of today to be. These are some goals that I have for myself for today. Like maybe I have an appointment and I expect that that appointment is going to go smoothly with a positive outcome for everybody. Or, you know, I want to make sure that I feel healthy and strong all day. Today I'm going to feel healthy. I'm going to feel strong. I'm going to, you know, have some. It's normally something that's important to me is getting some outdoor time. So I'm going to enjoy the outdoors, and it just sort of sets the tone. Like these are the things that I plan to feel more than what I plan to do. It's more of a, this is how I plan to feel. And almost 100% of the time, I look back on my days and I'm like, wow, I can't believe how that came to pass so beautifully.
Mm.
Um, it really does. It really does help. So it's just something else that I suggest. And then of course I have a healthy breakfast, which I know not everybody eats breakfast, but that's my favorite meal of the day. I could just eat breakfast and be fine. So then I have a healthy breakfast. But that's my routine.
Nice, nice. So it sounds like you're actually not cross platforming, but you're doing in what seems to be one simple thing is actually quite a bit of different things. You were focusing your day intentionally,
Hmm.
and you are clearing your slate by meditating very early. One of the first things that you do in the morning.
Hmm.
I find that sometimes if I meditate, if I don't get up first and then just try to meditate, like I've woken up, but I haven't gotten up and I go into meditation, sometimes I fall back asleep rather than fall into meditation.
Hmm.
So I find that I actually have to get up first, and whether that is brushing my teeth, making my bed, something of that nature, I might lie back down to meditate. I'm one of those people who meditate in the corpse pose, rather than sitting up. I've had more action with my hands on my knees, laying down. Sometimes I can do it sitting too, but I'm just more comfortable in a state. I can relax better.
Hmm.
But I find that a lot of people who are just beginning at meditation often tend to fall asleep before they um, actually
And
reach
that's
a meditative
okay.
state.
And I said that is absolutely okay. At least you're getting into, for somebody who's just starting. Don't get mad at yourself if you fall asleep. It's completely fine and normal. Just don't let it discourage you.
For sure. Also, one of the things is if you're falling asleep, that's you really your body telling you that you need rest too.
Right.
So, and, and
Right.
and one of the things is when you come to a well rested state, it becomes much easier to meditate.
Hmm.
If you're lacking REM sleep and that dream sleep, you when you attempt to meditate, may find your mind super wandering, and you may feel pulls to pull you back awake, and that's also from not having enough rest. So there's a few things that can hinder you from easily getting into meditation, but there's shortcuts over those, and that's the same shortcut. It's called practice. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, and then eventually it just clicks, and ultimately you're really doing nothing to get there.
Right. Right.
I would imagine that meditate. I see here that Damien has mentioned. He said sun salutation, meditation, Abraham Hicks, and fruit for breakfast. It sounds like his morning routine, which I think is. I'm wondering for him though, is sun salutation just opening the curtains and be like, "Yo, what's up?" Um, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, brother. So sun salutations for you guys that don't know is some yoga. It's a yoga form. I think it's 12 yoga asanas that asanas are poses or stretches that acknowledge the sun and can be done. They can be done any time of the day, but they are very powerful in adjusting the body, helping us to breathe. As we mentioned in the earlier show, that we don't breathe properly, and as a whole community, as a whole, as a human race, we don't breathe properly anymore. We should really, if you take the time to get with a professional, or even just reach out on YouTube and Google, or find some breathing techniques. Beth had mentioned that she has a breathing technique that she uses during the day. If you're interested, you can hit her up and find out more. Also, I just want to point out that Beth you can find her on Instagram at @live_Vendy. And so make sure that you reach out to her and follow her. She's always doing amazing things, and good to keep the energy up. So be another person to add in your community. I saw here that Brian said he had a good cry tonight, and it's like night and day, and he feels so relieved. Yeah, crying is very cathartic.
Yeah, it's a great release of that energy. Yeah, but people are afraid to cry also. That it doesn't mean that you're sad. Sometimes you just need to cry.
I find that I've found a few shows recently that have some just sappiness, and I find myself not bawling, not, maybe I well up, but I'm at the state of crying, and it feels really good afterwards. So I have been much more diligent into what I allow to pass into my gate. It's funny, when you and I first connected, you had mentioned that you had watched a movie that day, and I believe the movie was based on the book The Secret.
Mm-hmm.
And so I watched that the other day, and that was one of those movies that I kind of teared up, and a few times actually, and because I could just relate to a lot of stuff that was going on, and seeing how somebody was having a lot going on in their life, and a tree crashed into their house and put a hole in their roof, and they just didn't know how they were going to pay for the fix, and just all these things just kept happening to them, and they felt like the whole universe was against them. And but this person had also been self-deprecating and expecting the next bad thing to happen, and kept reinforcing in their life, oh, this is how our life is, this always happens to us, that kind of thing, and wasn't saying much or having any expectation that any miracles could happen or anything good could happen to them. And a gentleman comes into their life and helps them out. I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head. If anybody knows it, drop it in the chat there.
Yeah, I can't remember either, actually.
I think it's
another one.
I don't remember.
I'm sorry, what?
Go ahead. No, I was just saying I couldn't remember, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's another movie that I watched this week that I was surprised. I was so surprised that it's very similar. And it was a great movie. It's called Under the Tuscan Sun. So that one was out I don't know, a few years ago.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Until this week.
Is that Julia Roberts, I think?
No,
that's Eat, Pray,
Love.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I confused the two.
Yeah, that's Eat, Pray, Love, which is also a good movie.
Dare to Dream. Kara dropped it in there. That's the name of the movie. It's called Dare to Dream. It's got it's a pretty good movie. It's not very action paced. It's not a fast paced movie, but it's one of those that'll hit you in the feel. And if you're thinking about it, it's about the law of attraction. What you think, what you focus on most, what become your daily habits, what you speak into existence comes to your reality. And that's what the movie's about. It's based on a book called The Secret, which is all about the law of attraction, written by Robin Brin, I think.
Rhonda Barney.
Rhonda Barney. Thank you very much. It's been so long since I read the book. I think it's been like 14 years now since I read The Secret. So it's cool that I'm glad that we made the segue over to books, because are there any books that you could recommend to anybody for any level that might be able to help somebody through their day? Listen, we're in 2020, and we all want to master stuff and we all want to be great at stuff, but I kind of feel like we might be lacking. I know I've been. Listen, I have great routines and I have all these tools, and sometimes I struggle just to get out of bed. And that's one of the reasons why I am here. That's why I'm open and listening, and I'm recording, and I will be compiling all these tips, tricks, life hacks, biohacks, and all these things, so we can all look at these things. And so I see people are dropping books in there. Absolutely. Please, if you got a good book, I love to read. I love to listen to books on tape. So Beth, if you have any um,
Yeah, absolutely.
recommendations.
I love listening to books on tape. I have an Audible membership, but I also love books on paper. So, some of my favorites. A really quick one. I think it's like 1 or 2 hours. Um, it really depends on where you're coming from. Like we, I mean, what level or whatever. But this one is actually, I think, good for any level, and it's a quick one. It's called "It's All in Your Head," and it's
Mm.
by Russ, the rapper, and he actually reads it, and it's a really good one, especially for a beginner, someone who's new into the idea of that you attract what you think about. Um, Another one that I really, really love, I've actually read it 4 or 5 times, is Super Attractor by Gabrielle Bernstein.
Mm.
Um, that one, I, I, I just feel a connection with that one. I really love it. And basically anything by Wayne Dyer, I
Love Wayne
have to
Dyer.
say.
Love
Uh,
Wayne Dyer.
and if you can listen to a book that he has, read on tape, I love his voice. It's
Voice.
so
Yes.
soothing.
Yes. So my uncle told me a joke many years ago about Wayne Dyer. It's really corny, but everybody knows that I'm very well known for corny jokes. And so Wayne Dyer calls Deepak Chopra's house one day, and Deepak's wife answers the phone, and Wayne says, "Ma'am, is Deepak there?" And she said, "Oh, Wayne, you must meditate more."
Oh man.
It's and hangs up the phone. That's it. It's not. It's just if you really think about it, is he there? So and I see some really good books being dropped in there. So I just want to recap the two books that you said. One was the Super Attractor,
hmm Super
which
Attracted by Gabrielle Bernstein.
yes, and then the other one was
It's called "It's All in Your Head."
All in Your Head.
That's just like a really easy one if you just want I really think it was like 1 or 2 hours. It was really quick, and it was good. It was really good. It was nice to see his point of view.
Mm,
Um, there are so many, but there are so many. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind is another great one. Joseph Murphy.
mm. So I see here that Damian Barnes has listed the Celestine Prophecy by Redfield. Was a book I read when I was 14 years old, and was the first book that like changed my belief system. And it's a fictional story, so that had a good one. And then he also listed the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which is another phenomenal book. Toltec wisdom, some ancient wisdom about using our words to frame and shape agreements in our life, and in turn changing the way that we perceive our own realities. It's a great book. I struggled with that one after reading it though, because I became so hell bent on making sure that I was speaking impeccable with my word all the time that I think I might have stressed some people out around me. So yeah, and then there's a few other books under that. So and then Brian says The Mutant Message Down Under. Never heard that one before. I see there's Empty Out the Negative by Joel Osteen. But you're going to get that book, so I can't recommend it, or I wouldn't recommend it if nobody's read it yet. But it may be a good book. I'm familiar with Joel Osteen; he's written a bunch of books. One book that I found that I think hits me like the Celestine Prophecy did. Doesn't matter what stage you're at or what you're working on in your life. Doesn't matter what your age. Is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's a fictional story but it's poignant and it's a short read. I think when I started reading, I think I might have read it in 4 hours. I never put the book. I think I went to eat dinner, came back and finished the book, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you get a chance, read The Alchemist. There's a couple books called The Alchemist, but this one's by Paulo Coelho. It's Alchemist, not Myst. I think some people might enjoy that as well. Oh, Damien said he just read that. So it sounds like you're on your path to finding your soulmate then, Damien. So, Beth, if there's any other cool things that you might want to just drop in before we take a caller on the show, if I just give you a quick second, if there's anything off the top of your head. You mentioned some really great books, having a morning routine, meditation, some breath work. Well, actually, if you could elaborate on one thing that you did bring up briefly, is that you mentioned that you journaled. Can you tell us anything about your journaling technique?
Sure. Well, in the morning, what I do is I script, meaning like you may or may not have heard of scripting, but you describe how you want your day to go with intention. But throughout, at the end of the day, when I'm wrapping up my day, I'll do, I'll list the things that I'm grateful for, the things that I am, thank you so much that this went well today, or thank you. I mean, I actually go on and on and on to the point where like I'm thanking for the pen that I'm using, and I'm thankful for the paper. And when you get into that state of gratitude, it's one of the highest vibrational feelings that you can be in. That state is healing, and it's just a wonderful way to go to bed, because if you're going to bed in that state of gratitude, you're going to have a beautiful sleep and you're going to wake up refreshed. So that's how I do my journal.
I have heard that as frequency cleansing, as a name for exactly the nighttime, changing your frequency by focusing on the things that you want or like throughout your day, and that cleans up your frequency. And adding to that, somebody also mentioned that you may think back of some of the memories that may not have been perfect in your day, but remembering them in an imaginative state of how you would have liked them to have been, and also works.
Absolutely.
I think that's very cool. Journaling is a wonderful thing. You guys often hear me go back to a guy named Tim Ferriss. He wrote a book called The 4-Hour Work Week and Tools for Titans, and I am enamored by the book called Tools for Titans. It's a bunch of tools for people who are at the highest stages of life: Olympic athletes, world-class athletes, the world's strongest man, or person who can hold their breath the longest, jump the highest, people that are doing things that nobody else is doing and breaking records. People who have made billions of dollars, people who have worked for multiple companies and made multiple billions of dollars, and what their routines are like. And what he did is he compiled over, a 10-year period of doing podcasts and interviews. He compiled all this information, and he looked for any common denominators from all of these people. And a few of them were touched in, and Beth is doing a majority of them. And one of the ones is also another journaling technique, which was actually, I bring it up because it was so common that I believe it was number 3 or number 4. It was a borderline between 3 and 4 on the list of most common things that they do, is a journaling technique that is just basically you write down anything that comes to your mind or is pressing you or worrying. Maybe you have to pay a bill that day, or maybe you have to go somewhere that you don't want to go, or you have a report to do. If you just write it down and get it off your head, you just put it down. You just put it on paper. Anything that comes to your mind for the amount of time that you're doing it, whether it be 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you just write it down on a piece of paper. You let it go. There's no reason for doing it, but what it does is it clears your mind, and it gets rid of worry and doubt throughout the day. You're no longer thinking, because you've acknowledged them, and your mind's like, okay, well, that's all I wanted you to do is acknowledge these things. And by writing it down, you've acknowledged it, but it's no longer coming back and haunting you throughout the day, which leaves you to have a freer mind, and be in a much more creative, open state throughout the day. And a lot of these people did it to have used this as Tim Ferriss is also a big does it, and I think there's another podcast guy that people might know named Joe Rogan. He does that on a regular basis too. I do it on a regular basis. It's one of my favorite things to do in the morning. I just feel so much better, and creative energy flows to me when I'm capable of doing that first thing in the morning. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. So we've been on for quite some time. Sorry to mean to interrupt you there, Beth. But so let's go. I said that I was going to take another caller, and I'm going to give away one of these shirts. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to put up a number here, and so I'm going to put this number up in a couple seconds. So the first person that calls me, so if I just give you guys a chance to get your phones out if you want to, if you're willing and want to dial in, and then I'm going to put this number up. Call me up. The very first phone call that I get, I'm going to take. And hang out with us for a couple minutes. And if you got any questions or anything that you want to throw out there that you might think maybe a tip for people, and then we'll just spend a few minutes, and then we're going to wrap the show up, because I know it's late for everybody. Well, not for everybody. Some of us stay up all night long, but guess what? I was up all night last night, so I'm going to need the rest. And plus, we got to let Beth get back to her routine. Here's the number. All right, guys. So I'm taking calls, and first person in. Maybe we'll get a call. Maybe we won't. We'll see. Bet you they're trying to dial. Oh, there we go. Hello. Welcome to Awake and Aware. Who have we got on the line? Oh, hang on just a second. Let me bring you into the...
Oh, hello.
Hello there. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Who do we have on the line with us?
It's Tish.
Hi, Tish. Welcome. Welcome to Awake and Aware. Glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Great.
Thanks for hosting this. This is great.
Absolutely. I'm super glad that you're able to call in. I love this technology and how this works, especially in COVID times. I'd love to have people come together. My intention is to open a brick and mortar store and have a high vibrational food and invite people to come in, and we'll have powwows and firesides and share spiritually. But for the time being, this is what we're going to do and do these shows. So I'm super glad you're here. You're going to get one of these super cool limited edition Awake and Aware shirts with the trifold flame and the Philosopher's Stone on it. And remember, guys, the definition of consciousness is awake and aware. So Tish, welcome, and thanks for calling in. So do you have any questions right off the bat for I or Beth?
Well, gee, I kind of sort of fielded to you in the script earlier, but I found that, like I said, I was having trouble recognizing feelings, negative feelings, and I hate when people say, I'm feeling some kind of way, you know? How are you feeling? And I have to put a name on it to release it. So that is what my issue has been lately. I've got some, I'm out of work currently, so that kind of makes me feel bad. But I tend to get up and do things anyway. Like my job is working with the homeless, so I go out and I do volunteer work instead. Because I want to stay in touch, I still want to serve, and it validates me.
It's a beautiful way to do it too, because as you're helping them, you're spreading that energy of love and light, and that's beautiful, because it just comes back around to you. That's a beautiful thing. And I wonder if you had that list of emotions that Nick put up on the screen, the emotional guidance scale. If maybe you could sit with yourself and,
point to one of the emotions. Is this it? And sit with that and decide if that's how that matches what you feel. Sometimes just sitting with yourself and letting yourself feel whatever it is that you feel can really bring a lot out. So that may be helpful.
Thank you. I was sharing with some friends the other night, and I said, well, I'm going to allow myself to feel this way now because it was real and valid. And I said, and then tomorrow I'm going to feel good.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's perfect.
Absolutely. That sounds like a wonderful way to start setting up some intentions for the day ahead, but not living in so far in the future that a lot of times we can build up worry and doubt if we stay too far ahead. But if you're in a state where you're intentionally pushing for the future, that's great. To elaborate on what Beth was saying a little bit more is, so if you're having difficulty acknowledging these feelings, to dissipate them, is one of the things is you might actually be stuck in a different state. You might not be stuck in a state of anger and sadness. You might be in one of these other states of jealousy or rage or discouragement or blame. You really got to take a moment to make sure to discern the difference, because they're all very similar in frequency and also in feeling, so they can be easily mistaken for one or the other. It's like after somebody dies, there's the different stages of grief. A person can't really often tell that they're moving through them. So you may find out that you may actually be further ahead or a little bit lower. And the beauty of this emotional scale is this can be done very quickly. This is not something that you have to spend years to say, oh, well, for me to ever attain this level of joy, what is this thing that you guys speak about? Or how is it that you guys are so joyful? Listen, first off, I know the majority of you in the show right now that I'm seeing you guys know a state of joy in your life at a certain level. And it's about the times that we can't, or it's not coming to us easily. And we all slip down. One of the things is there's a writer named Eckhart Tolle that wrote a book called The Power of Now. And
I'm so glad you brought that up, because it was the book that I forgot to mention earlier. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right on. No. Perfect. So if you're familiar with the book, then you know that he mentions this thing called a pain body, and especially in the female body, monthly with menstruating, and the echoing of that as the trauma from that year by year, month by month. It becomes an echo that it's something that you have to wake yourself up back from, to put yourself into that flow state, or in that now state, or as Esther would call it, the vortex. You have to remember to get back into that state. Sometimes it's a little bit easier for men because we don't get taken out of it on a regular monthly basis. So sometimes we can just kind of stay in it. But sometimes you have to be aware that you're being taken out of it to do the work to get yourself back to that state. You may go from being in bliss, and then something's going on with your body, or something happened that you didn't, it may not actually be your physical self. It may be something external. Something didn't go your way, or somebody bumped into you in the grocery store. And then the next thing you know, you just kind of feel like things are maybe not spiraling out of control, but they are starting to head downhill. I used the analogy earlier about the bicycle tire. It's momentum. It's what it is you chose one, it happened. And then you acknowledged it, and then it says, hey, would you like some more? The universe is saying, would you like some more of that? And so you have to know that it's not, listen, the universe is never really testing you. But it does acknowledge what it is that you're focused on. And the more you focus on something, the more you get of it, period. You can take the time to experience that for yourself, to see if you focus on love and happiness and joy, you're going to get more love and happiness and joy in your life. That doesn't mean that you're immune to other things, and that it doesn't put up a force field around you that nobody can come into your bubble unless they have joy and happiness on their tongue and on their heart. That's just not how it works. We all wish it was, but it's not. So this is why we have all these tools to maintain your energy level and your state of well-being. As I say that, I want to point out too that your feelings are also your state of your well-being, because your heart is an electromagnetic energy field, which is called your immune system. And so when you're in these lower states, you can also lower your immune system by lowering your energy and your frequency. Your heart becomes weakened. So that's why it's better to be in these higher states, and that's when you have a higher immune system. And you're also attracting, and it's electro energy, it's frequency. You are attracting more of this to yourself magnetically.
Yeah. That's good stuff, Nick.
Well, it's all good stuff. Listen, my cup runneth over at the moment. I have new books to look for. We all have some new books to go out and look at, because two of which I had never heard of before, and I am I bet you my mother ordered those books on Kindle or Audible while when Beth listed them. That's the way she is. Got a feeling we're going to get a lot of books in the house soon. Tish, anything else that you want to drop, or just maybe one more question?
No, nothing I can think of. I'm just grateful for you both. Thank you for answering my questions. And y'all be blessed.
Awesome.
You too.
Thank you very, very much for calling in. Have a wonderful night, Tish.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And so, guys, I'm gonna kind of wrap this up here. I just want to throw a couple things out. Want you guys to remember. So Brian asked, will the comments be saved? Absolutely. They're going to be on Facebook. When I get some time this week, I will upload these videos to YouTube as well. And moving forward, when we do go live and when we broadcast this show, it will be live on YouTube and Facebook and Periscope all at the same time. I just have to do a little bit of work to do that. I want to throw a couple things out there. Yesterday, 11/11 was also my grandmother's birthday, and she passed away last year. I just want to acknowledge her in this show. I should have done it a little bit earlier, but it's okay that I didn't. Again, it was Veterans Day, so I want to thank the veterans again. I also want to thank Beth for coming out short notice. I hadn't planned on doing the show. And a lot of things had happened in my life. A lot of people know that my mother had a heart attack and has been in the hospital quite a bit over this past month. And I have felt the love, the prayers, and everything that everybody has sent. And I'm grateful for that. So I wanted to thank everybody who has reached out to me and my family, and just wanted to thank you guys. And just want to say that Awake and Aware, the company will be launching this month, and I'll let you guys know about that, where you guys can get cool clothing and coffee and a bunch of other things. That will be coming up. We do tea as well, but because of COVID, tea's on hold because it's just the nature of the beast. Mostly comes from China and India. Beth, is there anything you want to say to anybody before we wrap this up?
No, just no. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you for having me on, Nick.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing your industry, your experience, your wisdom. And I know that it was cathartic for me, and I know that it was cathartic for other people, and that you're a help to other people. And listen, I hope everybody who's here, feel free to connect with everybody. I love that there's so many like-minded people, and as this grows and will grow into a community, I will do the things that we need to get up on social media and grow our community together. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and end the call. Beth, have a wonderful night. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, now. Ciao.
Good night.
And so I just want to thank everybody who joined us tonight at Awake and Aware. This was an encore episode, episode 1.1, because we were live earlier at 11:11 on 11:11, and we've gone over now into 11:12. It's now 12:32 a.m. And I'm super grateful that the people that showed up and have taken part, the callers calling in. I'm grateful for Jazzy joining us earlier. I'm grateful for Kara's message and all the books and stuff. I'm super glad to see Brandy, my sister's on. And listen, I love you guys. You hear me say I'm grateful all the time about a lot of things. I like to stay. It's not just that I like to stay in a state of gratitude. It's not some mechanism that I'm using. Like, I am super grateful. It's where I like to be. It makes me warm and fuzzy on the inside. I feel really good. I feel healthy when I'm in a state of gratitude. And thanks a lot, Tish. And you're absolutely welcome. And I'm going to listen to this little song here and kind of chill out. It's 12:33. That's 333. So what a wonderful time. And I'm going to wrap it up. So you guys have a wonderful night. And thanks for joining us at Awake and Aware. I'm Nick Angel.